Lenovo just dropped their gaming ace, the Legion Go, right after Asus's ROG Ally shook things up. This bad boy is out to one-up the competition. Lenovo went all out, slapping a massive 8.8-inch screen and top-tier AMD hardware on the Legion Go. Sounds like a beast, huh? But can it really knock the crown off the king? Let's dive in and see if this handheld gaming console is the new boss in town. For more information and updated prices, check the links in the description box below. First up, let's talk about pricing and hardware configurations. The ROG Ally starts at around $680 for the model with an AMD Ryzen 7 6800U processor, 16GB of RAM, and 512GB SSD storage. There's also a cheaper model that swaps the 6800U for a Ryzen 5 6600U to save some money. Meanwhile, the Legion Go sticks with the Ryzen 7 across both models, but storage is where the difference lies. The base $700 model matches the Ally with 16GB of RAM and 512GB SSD, but you can upgrade to a 1TB SSD for $750. So when it comes to pricing, the Ally gives you some flexibility to potentially save over $100 if you go with the lower tier CPU, but the Legion Go gives you an upgrade path to more storage. Other than that, both handhelds are priced very similarly, so cost isn't likely going to be the deciding factor for most people. You're getting the latest AMD hardware either way. The extra $50 for more SSD space seems reasonable on the Legion Go. After all, 512GB can fill up fast when games easily take up to 50GB or more these days. However, both devices do allow you to upgrade the SSD yourself later on, so you can add more storage down the line if needed. With the prices being so close and the core hardware being nearly equivalent, pricing ends up basically as a wash between the ROG Ally and Legion Go. Let's move on to the designs. Here is where we start to see bigger differences emerge between these two handhelds, mainly in terms of overall size, weight, screen size, and comfort. The Legion Go rocks a much larger 8.8-inch 1600p touchscreen display with 165Hz refresh rate. That higher resolution and refresh rate does look crisper in person, I have to say. However, on the flip side, it makes the Legion Go absolutely massive in size. We're talking over a pound in weight at 856 grams. Your hands will definitely get fatigued after holding something that heavy for more than 30 to 40 minutes, and it can be awkward finding space for it in a small bag. By comparison, the ROG Ally has a more modest 7-inch 1080p touchscreen at 120Hz. Sure, it's not quite as sharp or fluid, but the smaller size cuts the weight down to just 608 grams. That 35% reduction in heft makes a big difference in hand strain and portability. Plus, Asus smartly contoured the rear grip on the Ally to fit nicely in your palms. Little details like that improve the comfort drastically compared to the blockier shape of the Legion Go. Both devices offer controls via thumbsticks, D-pads, ABXY buttons, triggers, and shoulder buttons. However, the Legion Go one-ups the Ally by allowing you to detach the controllers and utilize one of them in mouse mode. It transforms the right controller into a handy FPS shooter-style input. That's a very cool feature if you want to play games that require more precise aiming. The downside is that those small controllers feel a bit cramped themselves during longer sessions. Still, it's nice to have the option. At the end of the day, the Legion Go certainly provides a superior screen and versatile controls. But its much larger size and weight make it rather impractical for true on-the-go use. The Ally simply handles and travels better on a day-to-day basis. So when it comes to design and ergonomics, I have to give the edge to Asus and the ROG Ally. Okay, let's move on to the gameplay experience itself and talk about performance. After all, these are gaming devices first and foremost. Both handhelds pack an AMD Ryzen 7 6800U processor and Radeon 680M integrated graphics, so in theory, they should offer reasonably comparable performance in games. But that's not quite the case in reality. Let's start with some gaming benchmarks on the ROG Ally. Playing a demanding game like Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p resolution and medium settings, the Ally achieves a pretty steady 40 to 45 FPS. Dialing the settings down a bit further to low, it can even hit 55 to 60 FPS at times, so very playable frame rates overall. Now, on the Legion Go, things are a bit less straightforward. That higher resolution 1600p panel means gaming at native res is largely out of the question with this CPU and iGPU hardware. In Cyberpunk, for example, the Legion Go crawls at less than 20 FPS at 1600p, even on low settings. It just can't push that many pixels smoothly. Dropping the res down to 1080p improves matters. On medium settings at that res, Cyberpunk hovers around 45 FPS, right in line with the Ally. And on low settings at 1080p, the Legion Go does hit impressively high frame rates, up to 70 FPS at times. So, cranked up with its charger plugged in, the Legion Go seemingly taps into a bit more peak performance potential versus the Ally. But it takes compromised resolution to achieve that, plus loud fans spinning at full speed. The heat production is no joke. This thing gets hot. Ultimately, I think Asus made the smarter choice of outfitting the Ally with a more reasonable 1080p screen that's still plenty sharp at 7 inches. It means you can comfortably game at native resolution without excessive fan noise or throttling. Performance stays solid whether plugged in or not. The Legion Go certainly impresses when pumping max power through demanding games, but that comes at major costs to your eardrums, battery life, and lap burn potential. Not to mention, 1600p is still rarely utilized. So I'd call performance more of a tie overall, with each device suited for slightly different use cases that align with their designs. Speaking of battery, let's discuss how long you can expect to game untethered on these handheld PCs. Because even with cutting-edge mobile silicon like Zen 4, these tiny batteries drain swiftly when gaming. The ROG Ally packs a respectable 5,000 mAh battery, which translates to just under 2 hours of continuous gameplay in intensive titles like Elden Ring or Cyberpunk 2077. Dropping to lighter indie games, you might squeeze out around 3 hours. For the Legion Go, Lenovo upped the battery size to 6,000 mAh, but remember, it also needs to power a larger, higher-res panel. Battery life ends up slightly worse than the Ally. Cyberpunk crashes after about 1 hour 35 to 50 minutes before hitting critically low power. Lighter 2D indie games ran for 2.5 hours, give or take. And that's just with the default balanced performance mode. Kicking the Legion Go up to full power cranks the heat and cuts battery life even further. You're looking at like 40 to 45 minutes in AAA games at max settings. It's really designed for staying plugged in at that point. So, all told, neither of these handhelds will win any awards for longevity away from an outlet. But I do find the ROG Ally to ride the line better between performance and runtime off the charger. The Legion Go swings harder in both directions depending on usage at the cost of versatility. Advantage Ally here when it comes to mobile freedom. Alright, shifting gears, let's discuss software. Out of the box, both devices run Windows 11, pretty much the same as any PC. But they each have some proprietary software goodies that enhance the user experience. For the ROG Ally, Asus includes the Armory Crate app, full of handy gaming-centric tools for system monitoring, performance profiles, accessorizing RGB lighting, and more. There's also quick access to content streaming and screen recording functions. Very handy specialized software. On the Legion Go side, Lenovo has the Legion Realm interface that lives on top of Windows. It aggregates games strewn across various launchers and stores into one unified hub for browsing and launching. And it includes performance tuning profiles similar to Armory Crate, alongside some network traffic shaping options. Oh, and fun built-in emulators for retro gaming. Overall, while Legion Realm looks prettier, I find the Armory Crate a bit more functional and polished. The ROG Ally also packs some small perks like a snap-on webcam module. So, very close software comparison, but I'll tip the cap to Asus here for going that extra mile. Alright, to wrap things up, this has been a super close battle between the ROG Ally and Legion Go overall. Both push the boundaries of handheld Windows gaming PCs to new heights. They offer desktop-like performance in smaller sizes than we've ever seen before. If you want maximum screen real estate and peak frame rates when plugged in, the Lenovo Legion Go pulls ahead. Big, bold, and loud. But for a more sensible on-the-go experience, I believe the Asus ROG Ally still comes out as my overall recommendation. It strikes a better balance between power and portability. That said, hopefully this comparison has given you a comprehensive overview of the pros and cons of each device to make your own decision on what's a better fit for your usage. Definitely two impressive handhelds moving the category forward. For more information and updated prices, check the links in the description box below. While you're at it, let me know down in the comments what other head-to-head tech battles you'd like to see in the future. And don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth tech reviews and comparisons. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.